This video provides information for teachers with an existing highly accomplished or lead teacher application under the HALT 2018 policy. It covers information about the revised highly accomplished and lead teacher policy, the HALT Policy 2022, and what it means for you. Let's start by looking at the revised highly accomplished and lead teacher policy 2022. The revised highly accomplished and lead teacher policy has been approved. To develop the revised policy, NESA consulted with key stakeholder groups including the New South Wales Department of Education, the Association of Independent Schools New South Wales, and Catholic schools and union groups. The revised policy provides timely feedback to applicants through a modular approach. This will be discussed in detail during this presentation. Highly accomplished and lead teachers are highly effective, skilled practitioners with in-depth knowledge of curriculum content or the early years learning framework. They keep abreast of the latest developments in their fields of expertise. HALTs work collaboratively to improve not only their own practice, but the practice of their colleagues. They actively establish an environment that maximises professional learning and practice opportunities for colleagues and initiate activities to improve educational outcomes for students and children. The HALT Policy 2022 aims to clarify and strengthen the evidence requirements, increase the level of support available to applicants through feedback, streamline the assessment process and assure the validity and reliability of decisions, and achieve greater consistency with national certification processes. We will now identify the areas of the revised HALT Policy 2022 that remain consistent with the HALT Policy of 2018 and answer the question, what is the same for applicants under both policies? Applicants submit the requirements for their HALT application through their NESA online account, ETAMS. Between 1 and 3 years is usually sufficient to complete all requirements. We will discuss timeframes for you as an existing HALT applicant towards the end of the presentation. You still need to ensure your documentary evidence demonstrates the breadth, depth and complexity of the standard descriptors at the level you are applying for. Documentary evidence must show how your practice impacts on student or child learning progress and achievement. It must also show how you've influenced and supported colleagues to improve their practice relative to all 37 standard descriptors. Referees must include a teacher or colleague and a teacher who has received professional assistance or guidance. Your documentary evidence must still include 2 reports on internal observations of your teaching practice and an external site visit by a NESA-trained external assessor. If you are a lead applicant, you still need to include the lead teacher initiative component of your application, and its criteria remains the same. We will now compare the revised HALT Policy 2022 with the HALT Policy 2018. The HALT Policy 2018 only allowed you to submit your application once at the end of the process. Under the revised HALT Policy, you can submit your evidence in 3 modules, each comprising of 3 to 10 items and/or sets of documentary evidence. Each module needs to address 10 to 15 standard descriptors. After you submit your first module, you will receive a HALT module report with feedback provided by a NESA-trained HALT assessor. This report will tell you which standard descriptors you have met and which you have not yet fully demonstrated. For standard descriptors that you have met, you will no longer need to submit any evidence. For descriptors that you have not fully demonstrated, you will have a chance to resubmit evidence in Module 2 and Module 3. You cannot submit your second module until you have received the HALT module report. You must submit Modules 1 and 2 before your site visit, and you cannot submit your third module until after the site visit. You must include details of up to 2 referees when you submit each evidence module. We will give you more information about the role of referees and the site visit soon. Being able to complete the accreditation process in modules is the key difference between the revised HALT Policy 2022 and the HALT Policy of 2018. This new process means you will receive feedback at each stage of your submission and bank the standard descriptors that have been assessed as fully demonstrated. So, where you have successfully demonstrated your practice against a standard descriptor in a module, you do not need to provide any further documentary evidence for that standard descriptor in any other module. Under the HALT Policy of 2018, you could only write one overview statement of around 1,000 words for your submission. In the revised HALT Policy 2022, you must write a module report for each module you submit of between 250 and 400 words. Under the revised policy, your documentary evidence must demonstrate that your practice and its impact meet all 37 standard descriptors. You must annotate each item or set of documentary evidence that you submit. These annotations need to analyse the impact of your practice on colleagues and student or child learning progress and achievement in relation to the nominated standard descriptors. Your annotation must not exceed 350 words for an item or 1,000 words for an evidence set. Modules 1 and 2 must include 10 to 15 standard descriptors, but Module 3 allows you to resubmit your evidence for any standard descriptor that you did not fully demonstrate in previous modules. You can submit the same item or set of evidence in more than one module, annotated to describe how it demonstrates practice against different standard descriptors. You can find more information about preparing, organising and submitting your documentary evidence in the evidence guides. These guides are available for highly accomplished teacher and lead teacher for both school and early childhood contexts and are available on our website. As with the HALT Policy 2018, you need to include 2 internal observations of your practice in your documentary evidence. At least one of these observations must be conducted by the principal or service director, or their delegate. The revised policy also requires you to include at least one observation of a colleague teaching students or children. You must annotate your report on your observation against nominated standard descriptors and include this as part of your documentary evidence. You can find more information in the applicant guide for internal observations on our website. A support guide for colleagues and principals or service directors involved in these observations is also available. All applicants must nominate 3 to 5 referees over the 3 modules. Referees provide verbal evaluative comments during a structured, confidential 30-minute interview with a NESA trained HALT assessor. This will involve answering 4 to 5 questions. These questions are published in the applicant guide Preparing Referees, available on our website. Your nominated referees must include a teacher colleague and a teacher who has received your professional assistance or guidance. We suggest including your supervisor or line manager as a referee where they are not your principal or service director. For lead teachers, one referee must be able to comment on the lead teacher initiative. You can refer to the referee guide for further support and information. You have flexibility to arrange annotated documentary evidence for your modules based on your context. When you submit a module, it will be assessed by trained HALT assessors. You and your TAA-AL will receive a HALT module report. This report includes feedback on the standard descriptors that you have successfully demonstrated and those that you have not fully demonstrated. You can submit your second module after you receive your first module report. The feedback provided by NESA-trained HALT assessors will inform you about the extent to which your practice and impact is evident in your documentary evidence. You can then use this feedback to inform how you choose and annotate your documentary evidence for your next module. When you submit an evidence module, NESA allocates 2 HALT assessors, one from the same sector, system and context as you, and one from a different context and system. These assessors review the documentary evidence that you submit in your module. The sector assessor will contact at least 3 of your referees over the course of the 3 modules. The sector assessor also prepares the HALT module report. You will receive your module report within 28 days of submitting your module. The site visit supports your other sources of evidence and gives a comprehensive view of your practice in the context of your school or early childhood service. You must participate in a school service-based site visit from a NESA-trained external assessor after you complete your 2nd module and before you submit your 3rd module. You request your site visit through your ETAMS account. You are responsible for planning the site visit and nominating the standard descriptors to be assessed. The external assessor will be from the same sector and system and a similar context as you, such as early childhood, primary or secondary. There are 2 pathways for you to complete the site visit: on-site at your school or service, or by recording 3 sessions of your practice for an external assessor to review. As part of the site visit, the external assessor observes 3 sessions of your practice. At least 2 of these sessions must be lessons, learning experiences where you are teaching students or children. They will discuss their observations of and feedback on your practice against your nominated standard descriptors. They may engage in a professional discussion with up to 2 colleagues if you nominate for this to occur. And they conduct a structured interview with your principal or service director. An applicant guide is available to help you plan an effective site visit. Once you have completed all 3 modules and participated in a site visit, NESA will make a recommendation about accreditation to your TAA-AL. Before this occurs, we may ask you to make minor revisions to any evidence or annotations that need strengthening. After your TAA-AL makes a final accreditation decision, successful applicants will start their first maintenance period at highly accomplished or lead teacher level. The key differences that we have discussed between the HALT Policy 2018 and the revised HALT Policy 2022 are submitting documentary evidence across 3 modules against all 37 standard descriptors. After you submit each module, NESA-trained HALT assessors will give you feedback on the extent to which your practice and impact has been demonstrated against nominated standard descriptors. Your site visit must occur between Module 2 and Module 3 and forms part of your Module 3 submission. The site visit must include a structured interview with your principal, service director, and it may also include professional discussions with up to 2 colleagues if you nominate for this to occur. Your site visit will include a professional discussion with the external assessor before and after their observations of your practice. As well as 2 internal observations by colleagues, your documentary evidence must include an observation of a colleague's teaching practice. This is a chance to show how you supported a colleague's practice by providing them with feedback. Referees are included as part of each module that you submit. Referees do not provide written statements as part of your documentary evidence, but provide verbal evaluative comments through a structured interview. Referees should have first-hand knowledge of your practice and be able to verify your documentary evidence. In this section of the presentation, we will discuss the transition arrangements for current HALT applicants. From the start of Term 2, a pop-up page will appear in your ETAMS account for you to choose your transition pathway and indicate whether you will submit under the HALT Policy 2018 or the revised HALT Policy 2022. If you have already arranged or completed your site visit and are close to finalising your application, you can submit your application in line with one of the scheduled dates for the MCC in 2022. Alternatively, if you have not completed your site visit, you may choose to move to the requirements under the revised HALT policy. Any documentary evidence you have already uploaded to ETAMS will be available in your new application. You will be able to review and select which items or sets of documentary evidence you wish to submit as part of Module 1. Under the revised HALT policy, new applicants will undertake a HALT orientation course. However, this is not a mandatory requirement for current applicants who wish to transition to the revised policy, but we do strongly encourage you to do so. To help you consider whether to transition to the new requirements or submit under the HALT Policy 2018 requirements, we have outlined some key considerations. If you have already arranged or completed the site visit, NESA recommends that you proceed with the requirements of the 2018 HALT Policy and submit your application in line with the MCC dates for 2022. If you have completed the site visit and choose to transition to the revised HALT Policy 2022, you will need to complete another site visit to meet the revised HALT policy requirements. This will include the structured interview with your Principal Service Director and optional professional discussions with up to 2 colleagues. In addition to the site visit, NESA recommends you consider all aspects of your application before deciding on your preferred pathway, including documentary evidence. Have you developed a significant amount of your documentary evidence? Note that the revised HALT policy requires that 2 to 4 standard descriptors are linked to each item or set of evidence, and that all 37 standard descriptors must be fully demonstrated in documentary evidence across the 3 modules. Applicants transitioning to the revised HALT policy 2022 should consider the role the annotation plays in analysing the impact of your practice. Annotations may need to be revised in line with your documentary evidence if you choose to transition to the modular process. Have your referees been selected and already begun or completed their written statements? Under the revised HALT policy, referees will be required to provide evaluative comments during an interview with a NESA-trained HALT assessor. Referees must have first-hand knowledge of an applicant's practice and verify their documentary evidence in relation to between 1 and 4 standard descriptors. Receiving feedback during the modular process is a key benefit of transitioning to the revised HALT Policy 2022. Applicants are advised to carefully consider these key considerations before making a decision. After considering the progress of your current application, you may choose to submit your HALT application under the 2018 policy requirements. If you nominate to proceed with this pathway, you'll be asked to join a cohort of existing HALT applicants with a defined submission date. Which cohort you choose will depend on the stage you are up to with your existing application. The MCC will continue to meet during each term of 2022. The dates on the screen show the final submission date to NESA for the MCC meetings scheduled in terms 2, 3 and 4 in 2022. If you are unable to meet the deadline in this particular term, your application may be submitted for the following term. All applications submitted under the HALT Policy 2018 requirements must be received in time for the Term 4 MCC and will be due to NESA by the 10th of October 2022. Any applications submitted for the Term 4 MCC which are requested by the TAAL to be resubmitted will be sent to an extraordinary meeting of the MCC to be confirmed in early 2023. NESA will continue to run applicant workshops each term in 2022 to support you to finalise your application and meet the requirements of the 2018 HALT policy. If you proceed with submitting under the HALT policy 2018 and are yet to organise your site visit, there are some requirements to consider. Firstly, you will need to submit a request for a site visit before the end of Term 2, 2022. The site visit must then be completed before the end of Term 3, 2022. No further requests for a site visit can be considered from Term 3, 2022 onwards under the HALT Policy 2018 requirements. Site visits can be completed by recorded observation or on-site. To make a request for a site visit, please email HAL inquiry@nesa.nsw.edu.au noting your preference for either a recorded observation or in-person observation. If you remain open to both options, it will be easier for an external assessor to be appointed. The request should also be completed in your ETAMS account. Once you have considered the information presented in this transition video, you may choose to transfer your existing HALT application to the new modular approach. From Term 2, a pop-up page will appear in your ETAMS account for you to choose to transfer to the revised HALT policy. If you choose to transition to the HALT Policy 2022 requirements, a new application will be opened and any documentary evidence previously uploaded will be available to you in the new application. There is no additional fee to transfer your application. Please note that any completed referee statements and external observation reports will not be transferred to the new application. A declaration that you have attended a workshop or viewed this recording will be required in ETAMS before your new application will open. You are also required to nominate when you plan to submit your documentary evidence for Module 1 in either 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or 12 months or more. If you choose to close your current application, you will no longer be able to access any of your uploaded evidence or other information that you have entered in support of your higher levels application. Should you wish to recommence your HALT application in the future, you can contact NESA to open a new application under the modular approach. There are a number of people and groups involved in the accreditation process for highly accomplished and lead teacher. It is important for all parties involved to be aware of their key roles and responsibilities. There are support guides for all people listed here to outline the roles and responsibilities under the HALT Policy 2022. These guides are designed to support both applicants and those supporting applicants and are available on the NESA website. More specifically, the resources to support applicants to meet the requirements of the revised HALT Policy 2022 are listed on this slide, including evidence guides, support guides for applicants, referees, external assessors, and the applicant's principal or service director. NESA looks forward to supporting teachers through the higher levels of accreditation. Thank you.